Good morning, everyone. Lots going on in Canada and around the world. Yesterday at 8:35 a.m., they canceled or they postponed the 2020 Olympics. It looks like it will be happening in 2021 now. We'll see when we get to 2021, I suppose. But CBC News is reporting Tokyo Olympics officially postponed to 2021. So it is what it is. I mean, the 2020 Euro was postponed, the NHL season, the NBA season, all of the seasons, all of the sports, all of the things from like minor leagues all the way to like city leagues to I'm sure AAA and NHL and all the rest. So that's incredible. And what else is incredible? Other incredible things is the number of EI claims. 5 days ago, today is the 25th, this was released on the 20th, BNN Bloomberg is reporting Canada received over 500,000 EI applications this week. That's 1 week. Wow. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said 500,000 Canadians, or about 2.5% of the labor force, have applied for jobless claims this week, smashing previous records and suggesting the nation is already in deep recession. Well, I mean, when you empty out the center of the oil and gas industry in Alberta and then continue to take from Alberta as if the industry is still functioning at full bore. Well, I mean, there's nothing, what do you expect, right? And the rest of the country is import-export. The rail blockades have sent everybody into, survival mode. And then coronavirus happened and I mean, this is a good example of how mismanagement leads to where we are now, right? Maybe had the rail blockades not happened, maybe had we been getting our goods to market and stuff, it wouldn't be such a big hit, but it's a huge hit. It's a huge hit. 5 days later, 18 hours ago, BNN Bloomberg released this one. Jobless claims soar to nearly 1 million in Canada. This is crazy. Okay, nearly 1 million Canadians applied for jobless claims last week, representing almost 5% of the labor force, according to senior government with knowledge of the data. This one said 2% of the labor force. Hold on, I'm going to find it. 2.5% of the labor force here. So it doubled in a week. 5%. That's incredible. That's very high. Back to the article. The new figures of 929,000 people include the 500,000 unemployed applicants first reported by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in a press conference Friday, but also includes claims made over the weekend. The person said on condition that they not be identified because the data is not yet public. The speed and the extent of the jump in jobless claims is unprecedented. The previous record for an entire month was 499,200 in 1957, according to Statistics Canada data. So we've done twice that in a week. Smashing the record. This is not good. And the government's response is interesting, right? Here's the Huffington Post. I'm just going to give you a headline on this because the Huffington Post is insane. They say the Liberal coronavirus relief bill turns into political hot mess. Yes, despite the coiffed hair, it was a hot mess yesterday. Here's a meme that does in one picture what I took 20 minutes to do yesterday or the day before, talking about just the complete mismanagement of this crisis. And make no mistake, it is a crisis. This is bigger than 9/11. This is bigger than Chernobyl. This is the biggest thing to happen to the world in my lifetime. I say that with no hint of humor or anything. This is a big deal. Just economically, this is massive. Massive. What happens when you put all of your eggs in one manufacturing basket, and then that basket breaks, the bottom drops out, and all your eggs are smashed, right? What happens when that happens? There's no quick solutions to this. This is the reason we got into this mess in the first place, because there are no quick solutions in a society that demands quick solutions, right? So anyway, what happened is, at the beginning of this, when we could have had a real impact by closing flights, shutting down flights, still not shut down. Still not shut down. Okay, Shanghai to Vancouver, expected to depart in 2 hours, land at 7:19 p.m. Right? That's tomorrow morning, I suppose. Maybe. March 25th, 7:19 p.m. Okay, maybe today. But we had a chance at the beginning of this thing to quash it. We had a chance to react and stop this financial ruin that is happening across the country, right? And make no mistake, this is expensive. This isn't cheap. $82 billion? Okay, that's good for breakfast. How are we going to get dinner into all those people? Right? Like, I don't know. This is a big deal. So we'll look at this meme. It says, at roughly 30 cases or 50 cases. Xenophobia and racism are the problem. Yes, do you remember that? I remember Dr. Tam saying, you know what, my real concern here is racism and xenophobia. And Canadians are used to this, apparently. If you want to talk about how Canada used to be in the 90s and the 80s, then that makes you racist, apparently, which I think is very interesting as well and totally unfounded. But still, if you make any comments about how Canada used to be in those time periods, you're racist. And apparently at the beginning of this, if you didn't want to get sick because you were watching what was coming out of China, Wuhan, and it was spreading quickly, you were racist. And I thought, one of my early tweets was, it is not racist to want to stay healthy, okay? Then they went to the risk is low, don't worry. Yes, and they were there until March 7th. March 11th, they started saying this is going to get worse before it gets better, and that's roughly when they shut the borders. But I've heard reports that Roxham Road is still walking people across the border. I've heard reports that, well, flights are still landing in Toronto and Vancouver and Calgary and Montreal. I've heard all sorts of crazy things. And in order to take full advantage of this crisis, the Liberals are now at, with 2,500 or whatever, less than 2,500, more than 2,000, stay the fuck home and give us unlimited power with no parliamentary oversight. Excuse my French. Right? And it's the unlimited power with no parliamentary oversight that I have a big problem with, and did from the beginning. So let's walk through this. What happened yesterday at 11:41 p.m. This is Pierre Poilievre, and he says, reminder, Conservatives were ready to pass the aid package early this morning. The government turned the aid bill into a power grab and threw the day into turmoil. We asked them to remove the power grab. That they have not gotten back to us. As of 11:39 p.m., we haven't seen a new bill. And here is David Aiken, he's a reporter. He says both Andrew Scheer and Jagmeet Singh, unlike Yves Francois Blanchette, say that just split the bill, let us vote on those economic relief packages, and it's a done deal. Then let's review what other powers government might need, both saying government surprised opposition by proposing things not agreed to. So they had a deal, in like a verbal deal, like, okay, we're going to do this package, come on in and we'll pass it. It'll take 20 minutes, right? And instead they snuck things that weren't part of that pre-approved deal, right? And I mean, a friend of mine said, what is going on with this? Why would they try? And my response to him is, if you're not cheating a little bit, you're not playing. It was kind of tongue in cheek because, like, clearly that's not what the intention is. But it's very interesting that the government sees this crisis as an opportunity to exploit. Sees this crisis as an opportunity to exploit, and instead of rolling out the package as agreed to by the opposition and everyone in government, everyone sees the need to help Canadians, right? Like, regardless of the reality of the virus, the reality of the economic impacts is happening right now, and is very real. And so instead of helping those people with everybody in the opposition who's willing to come in and help those people, the government made it about political grandstanding and games and a power grab, and, well, turned the day into a political hot mess. Thanks, HuffPost. Right? And so if you're wondering if politicians will always exploit a crisis, yes, the answer is absolutely yes, they will. 100%. Yep. And it is the system. Right? Like, I'm glad we at least have people who are standing up and saw what this was and didn't grant the powers, right? And stood up for it. Here's Andrew Scheer. He's leader of the Conservatives until Peter MacKay takes over. Who knows? Aaron O'Toole, maybe? Who knows? I don't know. But here we go. Andrew Scheer says, this is his statement, Conservatives have received the government's offer. We demand that the government remove the section that would have allowed them to raise taxes without parliamentary approval. We demanded that the government walk back their unlimited spending powers and that special warrants expire on June 23rd, 2020. We demanded that the government include explicit reference to putting taxpayers' rights first. We demanded that the government put sunset clauses in their legislation. That just means automatically finishes at a certain date, sunset clause. And we demanded that the government be accountable to Parliament through regular reports to the House of Commons, Health and Finance Committees, and that the Finance Committees have the right to recall Parliament if we identify any abuses. We look forward to debating the bill. 4-4. And fast forward, this was released 6 hours ago, 2:43 a.m., and this was released 5:54 a.m. Pablo Rodriguez, and he is the leader of the government, Lieutenant de Quebec, leader of the government and the House of Commons, and he says, it's done. The House has adopted the emergency support announced to face COVID-19. It's now up to the Senate. We will work day and night so that Canadians receive as quickly as possible the help they critically need. We will be there for you. And I was showing you Pierre Poilievre's thing. He says, congratulations to Andrew Scheer for his strong leadership and refusal to back down. He protected Canadians suffering from the COVID-19 crisis, but stopped Trudeau's power grab. Great news, power grab defeated. Government can't raise taxes without Parliament. Emergency spending power capped at 6 months, not 2 years, and can be taken away. Opposition-controlled Finance Committee will start COVID-19 hearings and can force Parliament back on 48 hours notice if government abuses power. So that's the bones of it. I thought it was weird that the news article kind of didn't lay this out. So anyway, City News is reporting government gets unanimous consent to quickly pass legislation for COVID-19. The government received unanimous consent to quickly pass emergency legislation to free up $82 billion to help Canadians weather the COVID-19 crisis. After a day of tense negotiations, MPs began debating the bill in the wee hours of the morning, with a vote planned within a couple of hours. The motion sent to the Speaker stated that the House would resolve itself into committees, blah, 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 blah. Starting the week of March 30th, the Finance Minister will give bi-weekly reports on all actions undertaken to the pandemic and will be discussed on April 20th. April 20th is when the House is potentially returning. The Standing Committee on Finance will begin a review of the COVID-19 Emergency Response Act within 6 months of the day which it receives royal assent, and will report its findings to the House no later than March 31st next year. The motion also said that unless the Speaker receives a notice from the House leaders of all four recognized parties, it would remain adjourned until a future date. Earlier on Tuesday, Conservatives raised objections to what they dubbed a liberal power grab, which led to a late night discussion and early hours of Wednesday. So that's where we're at with regard to the bill. And really, this news article, because this is the first one that I opened this morning, I was looking for the details that Mr. Poilievre gave. I wasn't really interested in the process, and it seems like they're more focused on the process. So anyway, it doesn't really matter, but it's frustrating when the media kind of misses it, because you're looking for specific information, right? It's like, I want to know, did they get that power grab through? I don't care about the rest. The rest of the details are important in that I hope that the aid package works, but fundamentally, at this point in time, the Liberals made it about a power grab and not about the aid package. So that's what should have been the lead story, in my opinion. Anyway, okay. CBC News, a fundamental shift. This is the last story for this morning, and yeah, I'm okay for time. A fundamental shift. Nearly half of reported COVID-19 cases in Canada now from community spread. Almost half of Canada's COVID-19 cases are caused by spread in the community from an unknown source, says experts that signal there could be a silent epidemic happening across the country. Of the 1,044 cases that Public Health Agency of Canada has provided epidemiological data on as of Monday, 48% are the result of infection from community transmission, while 42% are tied to travel and 7% are linked to close contact with a traveler who tested positive. Community transmission is the spread of an illness with no known link to travel or previously confirmed cases, which suggests a growing number of cases are likely going unreported across the country. Okay, I wanted to show you this. This is the Ontario daily updates, and I don't know why my tabs are all reset. It's weird. Maybe I've got too much stuff open. My computer's it gets problematic sometimes, but not all the time. Most of the time it's okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. 572 confirmed positive, 8 resolved, and 8 dead. And I will eat crow on this one. They didn't put the dead in the resolved category. I really just didn't think they were going to add the deceased line. I think they were going to try and get away with not adding it, but whatever. They did add it, so yay, we have somewhat accurate numbers. And I thought that this was interesting. This was the part that I found interesting. They've got travel, pending, right? And look at all the pending. Pending says to me, these are unconfirmed with no travel and no close contact, right? So that's a lot of pending. Hold on, we'll get that. Yeah, look at this. Female, pending everything else. Pending. They've got coronavirus, but we don't know anything about them. So, it's really, the way this is rolling out is very strange. Like, we've got the example of Italy. We've got the example of China. We've got the example of Wuhan. We've got the example of Singapore and South Korea, which is having kind of a resurgence of cases again. And it seems to me that our health people are still focused on the wrong advice at the wrong time, right? And our leaders, as much as a power grab is expected, that shouldn't have been the focus. That shouldn't have been what they tried to do, right? And so it's really, watching this whole thing roll out is really interesting. Watching flights continually land. This is from March 21st. And if I went to Twitter, which I did first, I went to Twitter to find this because I knew that Mr. Levent had tweeted this. I thought it was on the 24th, but I couldn't find this tweet. So I had to go to my show's archives and find the tweet, and just to find the flight tracker he used to see if we were still landing flights from China. And the answer is yes. And so the government's response on one side has been powerful. You stay home. You don't spread this thing. You know, be socially isolating. Don't forget, you might kill your grandmother or your grandfather, right? On the one side. And on the other side, they're like, oh yeah, come on in. Come on in. 14 days isolation, guys. So yeah, have fun in the airport. Bye. Right? Like there's no special anything, precautions, nothing. They're not walking people with potentially exposure to COVID-19 out a different door. They're not doing anything, and they're not sanitizing surfaces. Who knows, right? Like, and I haven't been through the airport. I'm telling you from firsthand accounts that I've read from travelers. I've showed videos of it here, and people are shocked at the lack of the cavalier attitude in our airports, right, compared to other places. We have examples of places that are seeing the flatten the curve. And I don't even like using the term. I think it's propaganda. I really do. It's a really strange thing. Everybody's saying it. It's a good example of when like the province thinks that it's good, then they'll get behind it. They'll put ad dollars behind it, flatten the curve. Everybody's saying it. Doug Ford's saying it. All the people are saying it. And it just, why aren't we behaving in a way that will actually do that, right? We're just landing people who are potentially sick. Yesterday I showed Alibaba source for medical certificates that say you're healthy, right? To be able to get on an international flight like this and come and potentially spread COVID-19 before accessing our healthcare, right? So it's, on one hand, the government's response has been robust and strong, despite the hot mess that the Liberals' power grab introduced. But people are trying to help people here, right? So why isn't the government using its power to maintain a protective, at least stop flights, a protective area in the country, like at least stop flights from potentially bringing in new infected that don't know they're infected, right? Like a cursory wave and please self-isolate, have fun in Canada, see you in the hospital. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems crazy and like not above board, absolutely not doing what they should be doing, right? And the same thing with the power grab, right? It's exactly the same thing. This is an obvious win for the Liberal government. You come in and you're straight up with people, they'll say, okay, they're not as bad as they seem, right? You do this, you confirm everybody's biases, right? To anybody paying attention, the Liberals are exactly what we thought they were. And that's terrible. And they refuse to keep us safe. They refuse to stop flights from infected areas, right? From Shanghai. And this is connecting through a different airport from a different province, right? So it's offensive. It's inefficient. It's talking out both sides of your mouth. We're doing something. We're doing everything we can. Nothing is off the table. We are absolutely responding to this using everything we possibly can do. But it just takes a quick internet search to see that that's not true. So, thanks, Canadian government. And, right? Because, it's like having a fight with somebody who you care about and who is saying all those things that I just said, and then you can see, right? Like, oh, you're not doing the thing that would actually fix this thing, right? You never did. You knew it was a problem the whole time, and you had no intention of stopping that thing. It's the same thing. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch a government do this. It's frustrating to watch a government do this in the face of an ill-informed population, because all that the population is really able to, like, it's hard to tell a politician to do something in a fine-tuned way, right? Like, there's approval ratings, but it's like, do we approve or do we not approve? And then it has to go through the filter of the polls and the press, right? So it's a 39% approval rating is, pretty easy to manufacture. Did you see all of the news articles during any election cycle saying that the NDP have a real shot? It could be a minority NDP government. Ah, right, sure, yeah, till election day, and then Doug Ford gets a majority, right? Okay, that's the end of that. It's disingenuous. It's underhanded. It's exactly what we thought the Liberals would do. And they did. So at least we have an opposition that was able to stop it. I've been asking where the opposition are. There they are. Yay. Anyway, that's enough out of me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com. Check out CanadaReport.co. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. Wash your hands.